it's fine, right? Like, I was pissed off, but oh crap, my bad. Anyways,
Well, you can turn it off. We'll cut this and
Yeah.
go right back in.
Keep the look where she just stops talking. She's
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. I'm your host, Adam. Got Waz right here with me. Thank you again for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys. Special guests, Nick and Danielle Hale. Welcome, guys.
thank you.
thank you.
So, I know we have a similar history. Let's start at the beginning. Nick, we'll start with you. What got you started going down the quote unquote wrong path?
So I think where it all really started for me was, I want to say around like 7 years old.
It's young.
Yeah, so I got 2 older brothers.
Yeah.
One of them's 4 years older than me. The other's 5. So I grew up kind of basically in their footsteps. Whatever they were doing, I was doing. So yeah, it started real early for me. I think I smoked, my first bit of green when I was 7 years old. And then it just kind of snowballed into stealing my parents' cigarettes, getting into their alcohol, getting into their other stuff. I grew up with alcoholic parents.
Yeah.
So, and I knew they smoked weed too. So my early years, that's what it was. Alcohol and weed. The other stuff really didn't start until I was probably close to, I don't know, sometime in high school.
No, going back to your brothers, a lot of people would think like that's terrible of them to get you started, but as recovering addict myself, I think about like, well, dang, this is just kind of like the trickle down effect and exposure. What got them into it, like, so I wouldn't say they're necessarily to blame. It was just,
No, so it could be easy to pass the blame off on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, you make your own choices.
Yep.
You're not held down and forced to do something. I wasn't held down. It was my own choice.
I'm sure you idolized them being your older brothers.
As much as we fought, yeah. Yeah, I did. But it was all part of just wanting to be accepted. I wanted to be there with my brothers.
Yep.
So whatever they did, I did.
Yeah. So then you were saying into your teenage years is when the other stuff kind of got started, right?
Yeah, the harder drugs. I mean, I was still drinking, quite often through my teen years and stuff like that, even younger than being a teenager. So my mom was prescribed sleeping medication. Can't quite remember the name of it, but I had taken quite a few of them. And, because the label said alcohol may intensify this effect, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm like, well, if alcohol might affect it, then I'm going to take a few extra and maybe do a little drinking and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get very far into drinking that night.
Right.
I started having some really strong, vivid hallucinations. My brother found out about it because, you can't hide that. I couldn't hide it that night. My shoes were talking to me. It was like a tectonic plate effect sitting in the living room. The floor would slide under another piece of flooring, and it just like everything off in the walls sucked right down into a hole, basically. And my brother had talked to me, and what's going on, and I told him what I had taken and stuff like that. So yeah, that was before high school. Going on into high school, it led into, like doing cocaine, shrooms, stuff like that. I didn't get into meth until I was like into my 20s, but it was still always doing like Vicodin or Klonopin, Xanax.
No.
I had a really bad stint with Xanax for probably about 2 years when I was 17, 18 years old. Do a bunch of them every night. I'd snort them down, messed up beyond my comprehension. Things happen I don't even remember, and I come to a day or two later and everything's being explained to me, and it's like, really?
A scary feeling.
Yeah, to black out that much, even just a day or two at a time it's trippy because you don't know exactly what happened. You just hear bits and pieces of what happened from people, and it kind of sits you back like, wow, are you serious? Like, that couldn't have happened. That wasn't me, but
Right.
it was, and it did. So.
Yeah. What about you, Danielle?
So it all started when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. I was smoking cigarettes. And then I remember opening a beer that was my uncle's, because that's what everybody in my family did. And then from then, that's when I was living with them. When I moved in with my mom drank all the time. So I was grabbing her alcohol and drinking that and replacing it with water.
Yeah.
And then, hiding that I was smoking cigarettes, even though everybody knew. Then I was drinking around the bonfire with my mom at 10, 11 years old. And then she had my brother and sister. Well, my sister. And then I was drinking all the time. And then she had my little brother. And I had 2 kids by the time I was 15. And the only coping mechanism I knew was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then my friend, acquaintance, I guess, not really friend, but she's like, hey, you want to try some morphine? I was like, sure. And then that was wrap. It was off to the races after that.
No.
And then went to even harder things. It wasn't just that. Popping pills, drinking consistently, and then I think I was 21, 22 when I was introduced to meth, after I swore I would never do it. And then 4 years later, got some charges that turned my whole life upside down, really.
Yeah. I think about like my journey, and I hear it in both of your guys' stories too. It wasn't like you didn't jump from, smoking a cigarette to doing meth, or, in my case,
No.
it was the same thing. It was like, oh, I see everybody around me smoking cigarettes. I want to see what this feels like. And then it gave you that little bit of a buzz, and it's like, so I always think about how I compromised just small boundaries over time, and I was just like, and then it shifted to kind of a coping mechanism where now it wasn't just experimenting, trying new things. It was like something traumatic happens, and now this is how I deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it went for years like that, where I would always say, like, I'd be on the sidelines, like, watching other people get into IV use, and I'm like, oh, I never do that, I'm never going to do that. It was, I'm never going to smoke weed like my dad. I'm never going to drink like my dad. And then just like you take these small steps forward over time, and then you're looking back, and it was like, I remember when I first used IV, it was Oxycontin at the time, and it was like I had this just wave of regret, like, what did I just do?
Like right afterwards?
Well, not right afterwards, because, you know, the effects of the drug kick in, and I wasn't like, oh crap. It was more like when I started coming down from it, and I was like, all I could think about, my thoughts were just circling around it, and I was like, because a person that was close to me that showed me how to do it actually told me, he's like, this isn't going to take your soul from you.
Mm-hmm.
And it did. I mean, for a period of time, it was in the driver's seat. But it's a common theme I see among people. It's just they don't jump from, oh, I had a beer in high school, to now I'm snorting cocaine or, you know, injecting heroin or whatever it is.
Because it's your whole group and where you're around. And, you know, somebody comes around, they had done this, done that, right? Like, my dad smoked cigarettes. Wasn't much of a, I mean, he would have a beer, but he was never getting drunk. So, I mean, same thing, picking up cigarette butts because that was cool. You know, he had just flicked out and hitting it from being young and stealing beers here and there, but him having a good count on what was there, so getting my ass kicked because they knew who the hellion was that was doing it. But then when you have that inquiring mind, right? I mean, I was sheltered. There was the same 15 kids I grew up with, and I lived out in the country, so it wasn't, I had buddies to hang out with all summer long and that type of thing. And then school, and then once I was in public school, and it was the third day of 7th grade, I was smoking weed in the bathroom. You know, and it was, and everything, it just graduates. I mean, heroin was the only thing that I stuck to my guns I would not try. I mean, everything else, like, I stuck to my guns for a good long time. Like, when it came to coke, like, nope, that's rich man's drug. I can't afford it. Because how am I going to quit doing this and this to afford that? Because I'm already going paycheck to paycheck. But I had that stuff figured out pretty good. And it was a drought. And from all my different groups of friends, you couldn't find weed. So it was beer, whiskey, and then nothing. My one buddy that had mommy, daddy money, who tried for at least a couple years, tried to get me to do coke. Nope. And then finally, I had nothing more to lose. There was still no weed to smoke. How about it? 3 days later, it's like, son of a bitch. I think I might just move in with you. I'll stay with you up over top of the garage.
I think for a lot of it, for me, the whole Oxycontin, kind of how, I mean, have you seen the show Painkiller? It was on Netflix about the Sadler family and how they were, basically they made Oxycontin with the cotton came from the coating on it, which people would just take right off. And then you could basically create a liquid out of it, right? And that's how people were going to IV use with that. And I feel like that a lot of the people I knew back then made the jump to that because, oh, well, this comes from a pharmacy. It's a little bit safer. It's not heroin. And then all of a sudden, like, they changed the formula of it, and all the people in my circle, even the dealers, started going to, well, you can't use this that way anymore. So I feel like it was there was a step in between the step for a lot of us. And that was aided by the Sadler family of Purdue Pharma. But, you know, I have a lot of resentments that I mean, like we were dealt pretty that generation, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that were exposed to this, and doctors were handing out the painkillers a little bit more freely than they are now. So when the people that were getting them found out they could make all this money off them, it was an easy choice for them. And, you know, I just think, to not to shift gears away from that, was my little rant for the day, but we all have like completely different upbringings in terms of like our exposure, because my dad, he drank, but it was always kept, you know, pretty tight, and his weed was locked up, and more along the lines like your dad had to count on yours, right? Whereas your brothers were, you know, doing it with you, and your mom was doing it with you. Mm-hmm. So it's like we all kind of ran into a problem with our using at some point. Mm-hmm. It was just different ways to get there. I'm always trying to draw like parallels with stories, you know, and mm-hmm. I didn't have the dad that would, you know, give me the ass whooping to put me back a little bit, because when my dad left, he was the disciplinary. So when he was out of the picture, you know, I had loving, nurturing mother, and then I had the disciplinary father, and there was not really any layover. My dad didn't nurture or love. My mom wasn't the disciplinary. So when he was out of the picture, all of a sudden I didn't have any consequences, and it was kind of like,
oh yeah. I mean, it's not having, my parents were old, right? I'm the 6 out of 7 kids. They were 38 years old when I was born. So I mean, the shit I got away with was, and I mean, I'm sure there's little bits and pieces they knew, but heck, I was going to a certain bar out 20 when I was 19, 20, because I'd be headed home like, oh man, they're still gonna be awake. So I'd stop and have a handful of drinks before I'd go home.
Just to time it.
Because I'm not gonna listen to them bitch or say anything to me or give them even a reason. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I took a lot of advantage over them being old and tired.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you something. You being one of the youngest out of your family, was your parents a little bit more lenient on you versus like your oldest sibling? Or did you all get the same treatment all the way across the board anytime it was, you know, I mean, dude, deserved?
It's so hard to say, because the oldest two were they were pretty good. Like my older brother was like that. I mean, he wasn't a sports guy. He was motocross and had a motor, but he was the all-American good kid. Never did anything wrong, right? And then my second oldest sister, who was third in line, she was a hellion, right? And I mean, she's got 8, 9 years older than me. So I only remember a little bit of her living at home, because as soon as she hit 18, she wasn't dealing no more, right? This is what I'm doing, and she was gone. My other 2 sisters then were pretty good. And, I mean, I don't know if my parents just kind of thought I changed my way, because I hit everything, right? It was, I'm going to pull these decent grades. Even though I don't have books in my backpack. I got a pound of weed and, you know, baggies. And, well, I guess I did have a book for rolling and for weight in the backpack. But, you know, I walked the line. So it wasn't like, hey, look at me, everybody, right? I didn't want to get in trouble, because the first time I did get in trouble, and just by my parents, they took me into the police station to try to do the scared straight thing. And it didn't really work, right? Like, but I mean, there was the punishments, and, you know, just like any kid, good or bad, when you know there's going to be consequence to this behavior, you're either going to not do the behavior or you're not going to get caught.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I know my little brother had it fairly easier because I was taking so much heat, but I was also doing my best to get him to not. And I mean, that didn't work, but I think he was toned down because, like us, right? We were all professionals from a young age, right? But I mean,
So we thought.
it's that go so hard, right? Like, I mean, not necessarily cigarettes and meth and heroin and everything else, but when it comes to drinking, that's okay, right? And the people that can have 2 drinks, 1 drink and be done. Well,
It's not me.
in this room, there's probably on one hand the amount of times total combined that we had 1 drink and that was it. Might have been 4 years old, you might have been 6.
Right.
Because then parents came home, you couldn't get away with it, drinking the second. I mean, I know it was minimal for me because it's grabbing gears, right? Mm-hmm. It's John Forrest in the dragster, and I mean, you're going through them, going hard.
It's not like you didn't pick up that 1 beer just to have 1 because you like the taste of it.
Right.
That's
the difference between like problem drinkers and, like my wife, when we started dating, I call her a normie because she drank half of a beer and I'm like, it's getting warm. So I took it to her, and I had 2 years at this time. I had no desire to drink. So I'm like, are you going to drink this or what? It's getting warm. She's like, no, I'm good. You can just put it in the sink. That was one of those moments of clarity for me. Like, my brain works different because I never, like you said, never drank for the flavor. Always drank for effect.
I'm a bartender now, and I see a lot of people that drink for the effect, there's not a single person I serve, I don't think, that just has 1 and done. It's usually maybe 1 or 2 and then off to the next place. It's never a 1 and done situation.
How is that for you, being in recovery and working in a bar?
So when I went back to work 4 years ago, I think it was 4 years ago, I don't know, something like that. At first it was kind of hard because I'm like, okay, it's alcohol. I don't really have a desire. Don't want to, don't nothing, but life with its stressors, it's like, ooh, nobody would know, but I would, right? Mm-hmm. So I've struggled a couple times, and I'm usually pretty open and honest about it with everybody because I don't want to be where I was 8+ years ago now,
Yeah.
Because as I like to say, I was a shit show then. Like, I can be a shit show sober. I don't want to be that shit show drunk or high,
Right.
So it hasn't really bothered me too much. Like, there's times where I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not feeling it today. So I kind of go in with maybe not the greatest attitude, but, I put the game face on and get through it. But it just depends on the day.
I know for me, it doesn't have anything to do with the people, but more so with me. Every time I see people that are really drunk, it irritates me just because I'm like, I mean, it is my past, but I'm a little bit disgusted because I'm like, I was probably worse than this person. And it's just like when they're getting to like sloppy and they're, spilling their drink, and I've seen it at some weddings since I've been in recovery, and it's like, and it's more about me than them, but
Yeah.
I just, I used to hammer them down and black out and still keep going, and some of the crap, like I waking up in people's backyards, standing up blacked out, where I would be like, I don't even know how I got here. It just veered off the sidewalk, and so that's more about me, and I think that's probably why I'm like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, like I said, there's days where it's mindless. just going with the flow. Other times, like if I'm struggling mentally, then I'm pretty honest and I'm like, oh, today's probably not a great day, you know?
Yeah. So you guys, you had your recovery started on a day, right?
Yep.
Day one, what was that for you? Because for me, day one was not like I'm choosing this. This was like I tried, like, you know what? Found out I had a warrant, set up my arraignment. I'm like, I'm going to get a PR bond. I'm going to get out and I'm going to go get high. And then I can navigate the process from outside, you know? And what was it? Carpenter arraigned me and he said $500,000 cash. And I was like, for turning myself in. So I was kind of like, all right, well, I got mad at him and then started displacing all my emotions on other people. And that was day one for me, was MCJ over here. What was your day one?
So physically, it would have to have been about the same, you know, right into jail. I believe it was 7/21 of 2017 I went to jail. I hadn't used anything for like 3 days before then. So that's when it basically physically started. Mentally, I told myself, like, the last 6-8 months running around making meth and doing all this dumb shit, you know, I'm like, man, I really got to do something about this. I really got to stop. I'm going to get in trouble. And I get in trouble, I'm going to be gone for quite some time, you know. But I couldn't never physically pull myself away from that lifestyle. It was just too easy, people coming over with boxes. Shit, okay, you got a box? Let's whip that up real quick, you know? So no, I couldn't pull myself away from that.
You wanted it, though.
I did.
I think it's really...
I did, because I knew I had 4 previous felonies. I had already hit my rock bottom during this whole process. You know, I lost my place, lost my good job, went through a divorce. You name it, it happened. So I ended up, you know, in and out of jail a couple of times. Some warrant I got arrested for, bailed myself right out. They let me go right back to running. Same thing. Got arrested again, got let out on a PR bond. And the whole time in between that, they had raided the tent that I was staying in because they knew I was making meth. Well, they let me out on a PR bond, or I bailed myself out, whatever it was before. You know, I don't remember exactly. So I'm like, well, that was dumb on your part. Like, you already know what I'm doing. You let me go. But it was still right back to the races. So physically, on the 21st, I was arrested again. I knew I wasn't getting out that time. So I went in, I sat a few days, it might have been a week, 2 weeks. I went in, finally got brought down for my arraignment. He started reading me my charges, and I knew right off the bat it wasn't going to be good. I have 4 previous charges. The big one was the habitual. Then they started reading me off 4 new charges, you know, and at the end of it, he said 25 to life. I'm like, okay. That was the first one. I'm like, oh, okay. I just kind of, and I'm in awe at that point. Didn't know it was going to be that much trouble. Apparently, when you fuck up pretty good, they don't take too kindly to that.
Mm-hmm. With the previous record, I know that they use a scoring system for sentencing guidelines. So yeah, you have the chart, and it's your prior record variable and then your current offense variable. So when you, like, for people like you and I who had been multiple offenders, our minimum starts higher because like it's this history, right?
Yep.
So I think a lot of the public doesn't understand that aspect, because you see people that get in trouble and then they're like, they get the old slap on the wrist. Well, that's because their prior record variables down here. So it's not quite up here. The system is built to give us chances.
Yeah. I feel like I burnt them up, the first 4 felonies that I got when I was 18, 20 years old. 10 years later, I get 4 more felonies, pretty severe felonies. And like I said, he read off that first charge, 25 to life. And then he read off the second charge, the same thing, 25 to life. And I was in awe at the first one. Second one, I'm dumbfounded. Third one, same thing, 25 to life. I'm like, all right, you just send me back to my cell at that point. But there was still another one, and he read that one off to me, and I'm like, yeah, 25 to life. I was like, okay. You really did it this time, buddy. Thinking to myself, you really fucked up. You're going away for a while, a long while. I went back to my cell and I just went right back to bed. I woke up with the don't care attitude. Like, I'm going to prison. I ain't coming back out. I started fighting over stupid little shit. Something set me off. I didn't care. It was fighting. It's over with. I'm going away. What more can they take from me? So, got into a few fights with some feds from Detroit, some from Flint. Luckily, one of them was able to talk me back. He was a leader of one of the Bloods in there, and we had a little bit of a beef, and I walked up into his cell, and we sat and talked. Luckily, we came to an understanding. He said, one thing you got to understand is, it's not going to be one-on-one. Like, it ain't going to be me and you. It's going to be 7-on-1. Because I can say one word and go get my boys, and it's going to be us 7 on you. Well, that's something you don't understand, though, too. There's a bunch of us here, too. It's not just your Bloods. And I'm not in a gang or nothing. It's just, we get set in a pod with a bunch of Fed cases and looking at murder charges and stuff like that. A bunch of us didn't take kindly to being treated the way we did. Basically being treated like Midland kids, and we weren't shit and like that, Anyway,
I mean, when you talk about inside versus outside, there's 2 very different environments that you live in, and even from like a secure level 1 to an unsecure level 1, or from a level 2 to a level 1, they're significantly different in the number of years people have left. So, like, when you heard that 25 to life, it's like, well, you get that bucket of the
bucket of fuckets.
Yeah.
I got 4 of them at that point.
That's it. I always think of Jolene and Angela with that, because that's the first time I heard it. But these guys on the other side have the same logic, so it just becomes, from where I sit now, I sit back and I'm like, it's flawed logic on either side, So,
yeah, we squashed that, and we ended up, being able to talk back and forth, and it was smooth riding with us after that, to an extent. And I ended up having an interview with drug court coordinator some weeks later. She gave me a light at the end of the tunnel, an opportunity that I needed at the time, and I didn't really expect anything of it. I didn't expect to get that kind of a light. So it was basically, you take drug court, you go through it, you complete it, and there was no plea deal. You complete drug court, we wipe these charges off in your record. It's either you go through drug court and complete it. If you don't complete it, you're looking at 51 to 170 months. So at bare minimum, 170 months, way greater than 25 to life. But that's not what I went in there for. I went in drug court. I had that light. I had the opportunity to change my life around, and I did.
That's the biggest thing, drug court does.
Mm-hmm.
There's a large quantity of us who, society would have deemed as not savable. Not all of society, but
a good, fair portion of it.
Yeah, and I feel like since even I was in drug court, and were we in it in the same time?
I think you went in just before I did. I think I graduated. So I have 8.5 years clean. And I think I went into drug court 2018 and finished it in like 2019 or something like that.
I was January 4th, 2018. I graduated. And I was the last 3-phase graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would have been out just before I started, because I had left rehab. I'd left Harbor Hall in January, say early January sometime, maybe mid-January. So you would have graduated right before I either came back or just got into the program.
The hall was a magical place.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely teaches you a thing or two.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. What about you, Danielle? What was your day one?
So my day one was my 26th birthday. I wanted to be done, didn't know how. Actually, August 23rd, 2017, I was supposed to be going into work. At that time, I worked at the casino. I decided that I needed to go borrow some money so I could make it to work that night at 10 o'clock. This was at like 6:30. I left to go do that. Came back at like 9:30 to bayonet officers and cop cars swarming my driveway. I wasn't there when they kicked in the door or anything like that, but like I showed up to it. Small part of me wanted to keep driving, keep going, run away, never look back, but my kid was there. She was 8 months old at the time, and something's like, you can't fucking just run away. You need to go face it. So I did. Pulled in the driveway. Somebody finally noticed that I was sitting there and was like, "Oh, who are you?" Said, "You know who I am." Said, "And I know why you're here. It's fine, right?" Like, I was pissed off, but oh crap, my bad. Anyways,
well, you can turn it off. We'll cut this and
Yeah.
go right back in.
keep the look where she just stops talking. She's
All right.
but anyways, so I'm sitting in the driveway. Cop comes up, reads my rights, doesn't handcuff me or anything, just reads my rights, and he's like, "Do you have anything you wanted to tell me?" I said, "Nope." He goes, "Yes or no, Miss Erskine?" I said, "No, I don't want to talk to you. We're done here. Like, let me go see my kid until you guys actually arrest me, and then we'll go from there." I was kind of an asshole to him. Whatever. We sat there for, it was well after midnight. I think it was 2 a.m. before I even got booked. So I spent a little bit of time with my kid, my grandma, 3 other people, plus a bunch of kids that weren't mine. I woke up the next day in good old MCJ, and they took me over to the courthouse to kind of officially in front of the judge put my own kid in foster care. That was a real wake-up call. So I was like, fuck. Like, how? Like, I've always swore to myself that no one would raise my kids but me. And I just threw it all away, right? So I was really hard on myself. And then went back. I think it was the next day they finally arraigned me in, I don't even remember what judge it was. He starts reading off my charges. Operating and maintaining, delivering and manufacture, possession of methamphetamine. He's like, that's like 50 years over your head. I was like, holy shit. I've had 2 misdemeanors on my record prior to this. So I was like, fuck. It was a real wake-up call. I mean, I sat there. I tried doing the PA 511. Stopped going because my co-defendant was doing it too, and we were already bunkies sitting in the same pod together. Like, there was just too much time, and there was a lot that I personally had to think about, right? Like, if I was going to go back to that life or not, you know? So I stopped doing that. It was, I think, October. So I'd been sitting for a little over a month, and I talked to the coordinator at the time. And she goes, well, if you plead guilty to your 3 felonies, if you complete drug court successfully, we'll drop it down to 1. And I was like, bet. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, because at that point, like, I'd never completed probation successfully, like, even for misdemeanors. Like, I'd always get time added because I wouldn't do my community service. I wouldn't pay my fines. I wouldn't do what they wanted me to do. So I was like, all right, let's do it. You know, like, this is what I want to do. And a bunch of my friends had gone through it, or a couple of them, not a bunch, but a couple of them had gone through it, and they'd, like, completely changed their lives. And I was like, well, if they can do it, I can do it, right? So I think I'd went to a couple of the drug court sit-ins or whatever with everybody, and I was a little intimidated at first because I'm like, okay, I got to come sit in front of a judge every other week. Fuck. Not good at that. Mm-hmm. I'm not really good at people telling me what to do, but I guess, like, if I really want change, like, this is what I'm going to have to do, you know? And then they told me that I was leaving for treatment in December, they like actually gave me my date. So after that, it was like, okay, mind your P's and Q's, just get the fuck out of here. Like, then it's smooth sailing. Well, when you have a kid in the foster care system, foster care likes to put a damper on things, right? I was talking to my counselor in treatment, and she was like, okay, well, it says here in all your paperwork that you brought with you that, like, your court ordered visits. I said, okay, well, how do I make this happen? Because I'm clueless, right? Never had to do any of this. We called up my caseworker, and he pretty much said, I'll see what we can do. I said, no, you're going to make it happen, or I'm going to throw myself in prison for the next, I think I had 24 to 48 months when they, like before I left for treatment, it was 24 to 48 months in prison if I didn't complete. And, you know, when you're first time in trouble and you see any amount of time, it's kind of scary. So I was like, fuck it. Like, if you're not going to let me see my kid, I'll just go to prison and, like, really make it worth it, you know? And he'd called back, like, 2 minutes later and was like, we can do it. I was like, you're damn right you're going to. Like, but it wasn't until I was in treatment for a couple of weeks where it really set in that that's really what I wanted to do and what I needed to do instead of running the streets, making dope, you know, hustling, if you want to call it that.
Well, that's what you guys are doing now, but in a legit way.
Right.
That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to work with this dude right now, struggling, like texting with him, trying to get him into treatment, and he's all about like the hustle, right? I'm like, dude, apply that same work ethic to something you're passionate about, that you're good at, and you can elevate your life in a way that you've never experienced before. Because, I mean, some of the hardest working people that I've met, I mean, creative wise, like when I was in prison, these guys were like, when they took tobacco out, they're like, hey, take this Q-tip, fluff it up a little bit, stick this pencil lead between it. You stick these other two pieces of pencil lead in the actual outlet and you touch it like that and it'll light the Q-tip on fire. You can light your cigarette. You don't even need a match. I'm like, how did you think about this? Like what, you know, like, so use that creativity and that drive that you would getting the drug, making it, whatever it is, in a positive way. And that's what you guys are doing now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have
absolutely
8 years, 8.5?
8.5 years.
I have 8 years as well.
Do you guys know each other back in active use? Or no?
No. I'd heard her name a handful of times through mutual friends. But never had her run in, never met her, nothing like that until drug court.
That's really, it's a challenge to be in a relationship, but then, you know, both in recovery. When did you guys get together?
So it happened while we were in drug court.
Which they frown upon.
I probably shouldn't say that right now, but
it worked out, right?
So before anything ever happened, relationship-wise, we both made sure that we were on the same page. Like, no games, not just in a relationship, but like drug-wise. We both knew that, you know, I knew what I wanted, she knew what she wanted. And it just kind of, it meshed together that perfectly that she wanted to change her life.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So do I, you know? And then it went to the next step. Like, okay, well, no games. Like, cause we'd both been in previous relationships where, you know, cheated on, manipulated, shit like that. We're not about the games.
Right.
If you're wanting to do that and play games, let's just end things now. You know, neither one of us need to be drugged through something like that again. So it evolved from there, and we started going to recovery events together and meetings together, and you know, it snowballed. We got feelings for each other. Knew it wasn't supposed to happen in drug court.
Mm-hmm.
We did it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we just did a pretty decent job about hiding it. We weren't affectionate in public, you know, outside of, you know, anywhere in public, really. Meetings, nothing like that. So it had gone on for months like that. And questions started getting asked. Like, okay. And we both agreed, you know, it's probably about that time. You know, we should probably just ask to be, you know, I think we started out with just contact.
Mm-hmm.
We got approved for that for a while, and then other questions started getting asked. And before the questions came out from the judge or anything like that, we were like, you know, we might want to put in for approval to be in a relationship, you know, before we both get into trouble and get a sanction for being in one.
Right. They appreciate you being up front in that program.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
and that's
and
part
it was
of
very
it too,
hard doing that for months like that, trying to hide something and not feeling 100% truthful when you go in front of the judge. Because, you know, as well as anyone else that went through that program, Judge Beal is going to ask you, okay, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yep.
And it's just biting your teeth like, yeah, there is, but you say no. It's like, is this the time I'm going to get whacked, you know?
Yeah. That's when he's like, I seen it where he'd be like, are you sure?
Yeah, dude, and he was so good
he's
with
just
it,
giving you that opportunity to be up front, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. Solid, dude.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
so glad that program exists, because it really, I can say 3 right here from the program, and 4 that were impacted in a positive way by him.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
just
I know
right here.
quite a few people that have been positively impacted.
Hundreds. Even before the
And-
program, he's been a really good.
I talked with him on the show about the nature of being a judge and how that job, like, you know, you're always going to have someone that doesn't like the decisions that you make. So it's really challenging. And then also the sacrifice that the few individuals that sit in those positions make for the community that go overlooked, right? You know, I feel like I want to highlight that even more, because all the judges, you know, they took an oath. They, you know, they live it in a standard that goes along with that position. So,
Yeah. And it's really good with the 2 programs that they have. My Hope and Drug Court or
And they
Recovery Court, because it's easier for them to see who really wants that change versus people just going up there in front of them and blowing
Through the
smoke up your
motions.
ass. Okay, I feel sympathy for it, and they're going to give a lighter sentence. And the guys get right back out and do the same thing over again. If they go through a program, you actually see who was genuine about it. You know, because they'll make it through the program. They'll do good in the program, and they'll do good after the program. You know,
They've added mental health court, which is like co-occurring disorders, stuff like that.
Yep.
I partnered with CMH, and I think a family court too. So the specialty courts really make an impact on the community.
They do.
I want to hear more about what you guys are doing here. So you guys work together?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I know some couples wouldn't be able to do like the see you at home, see you at work, get it, you know, like.
So we've never really had a fight or an argue or anything like that. We've always been able to just communicate with each other and go from there. So to me, it's pretty easy working with, you know, my business partner, my life partner, my wife, the mother of my children. You know, it's pretty easy going.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
It is. I just feel like it's a major blessing, you know.
I feel like to highlight you guys, the one word you mentioned was communicate. And not to say you don't have disagreements. I'm sure there's disagreements, but it's you guys communicate. And that's one of the main things when it comes to relationships.
Everybody has their own views and values and morals and stuff like that. So yeah, there's going to be disagreements. And communicating and letting the other person know how you feel goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and understanding how your partner feels about their beliefs goes a long way.
Yeah. So you got started. How long have you been doing construction?
Oh boy, construction. I probably 15, 16 years old.
How many square an hour? Can you roof?
You know,
That was
I've been
quick fire.
asked that a number of times, and I've never timed myself. Not for a full hour or anything. I think I've done like...
That's only because your drug history. You started out trying to time yourself, but then you forget.
a very good possibility. Right. No, I think...
I used to do some roofing, so I know like 3 is pretty good. 4 or 5, you're lightning.
Yeah. So, laid out on the roof, I do remember one time, and this was still in recovery, you know, not after or during active addiction or nothing like that. A few years back when I was still kind of somewhat in my prime,
he's not.
I want to say I was right around 10 minutes, give or take, for 1 square.
To be at like the 6 range. And so to give the audience a background, a square is 3 bundles of shingles.
Yes.
So if
it's
you're
like
doing
20, 22, 24 shingles per bundle. So you're looking at 60, 70.
Yeah, and to lay them out where it's not looking like that's where you can be fast and not good where you have this, or you can be, you know, good but not maybe super fast. Or there's these people. My uncle, he's roofed for years. He did both.
Yeah, so that's why I kind of chuckle when I'm asked, you know, how many per square per hour. Because I'm not going out there just to slap shingles on a roof and be done with it.
That's just how much can you bench.
Yeah,
right.
That's
I want to make sure I'm going out there and providing a quality finished product. When I leave,
that doesn't
I need to
leak.
be able to be happy with it.
Doesn't leak. It looks good.
Right. You know, and I've gone to the extent of tearing stuff apart, you know, that it's good. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But to me, there was that one little thing that was wrong, and I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody else will ever be able to pick it out. The homeowner wouldn't know. I do.
No.
You know, and that's going to eat at my mind. So I just tear it back apart. Do it and it's perfect. You know, to me, it's perfect. Somebody else could probably go through and nitpick. You always have that. Somebody else, another contractor or something, will go through and nitpick what you did previously, or you're always going to run into that. To me, when I leave a customer's house, everything is done right. You know, they're paying for our services.
Yeah, and that's your future business too.
Exactly. You know, and my kids too. My son shows a lot
So much interest.
of promise in wanting to do stuff like this. There's times throughout the summer that, you know, when he wasn't in school, he was going and measuring roofs with me. You know, Daddy, I want to go with you. You going to work? I want to go. All right, buddy. Let's do this. I'll take you with me. Let's see how you do. You know, get to the roof and he'd be on the ground. You know, I get up, measure the roof. And there was a few times where I'd let him up on the roof. Not a steep. It was very low slope. I'm right there. He falls. He's falling into me.
Right.
Like
safe. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like a 412.
That or less.
Right.
You know. And I'd walk him up and I'd set him right on the peak and he'd straddle the peak. And I was like, all right, buddy, don't move. I'm going to pull a couple numbers real quick. And I'd take a couple steps and I'd turn around and look at him. He's just watching what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Stay right there the whole time.
Yeah, so true family business.
Yeah.
So
Go through all what you guys do, Danielle.
We do a lot of exterior modeling, siding, soffit, fascia, windows, doors, wrapping, all of said things, and roofing, metal and shingles.
What's your favorite?
Oh boy. My favorite so far? Siding. It's just, now that I've done a few, it's easy. You know, like it's kind of mindless. Pull a number and make sure it's straight.
and you can really change the look of a house.
Yeah. And
That's
that's my favorite part.
Yeah.
Really,
Does
it's
it-
the end.
It's
Does
like
it seem
changing
like
clothes.
a lifetime ago from when you were nervous and apprehensive doing a lot of this stuff for the first time?
Yeah. I mean, it's been a little over a year since I climbed on my first roof willingly.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember getting up there and like the whole world spinning, like euphoric. I don't know, like the whole world was spinning for like the first 5 minutes. Because I'm like, I belong on the ground, right? And then he's like, nope. You're up here too. So once I got up there and I got my bearings, and now I up and down all over the roof. And
Started her on an easy 412.
Yeah.
I'm not going to throw her out there on a 12-12 and just expect her to be all right.
no, that was the second one.
No harness.
Pretty close. It was pretty close to the second one, you know.
I mean, it's cool. Just I've got to work with them, right? And doing flooring. First time she got to do flooring, and depending on where Nick was or where I was, hey, how do you do this? And she watches one time.
Pick up on it. Like,
Yeah.
Was not scared to do it. Now, obviously, you know, Nick's encouraging her, and I was too, but especially him. He's like, "You waste a piece, you waste a piece." When we
Right,
out.
don't be scared to make a mistake.
What are you out? We're out a few minutes. There's always extra that's ordered. Be out a few minutes of time, and her not having the fear. And I mean, that was the highlight of that whole job for me, because you have younger kids, and I mean, even mid-20s, scared. They want their hands held the whole time. And we're not
You
going to
explain
stop
it to them
through-
several
Right.
times, and then you
And-
show it, and then you walk them through it multiple times, and then still at that point, you got to be right there looking over their shoulder or doing like Dave said and holding their hand. It's like,
and just you jumping in. Like, I still remember the look on your face, and you know, mess up, and you look like you're almost gonna cry, and then next thing you know, there wasn't even any more questions. It was, here she goes, just rocking.
off and running.
and she's done that with everything. Like she'll pick right up on it. Ask a couple questions here and there, but she's off and running.
Or I watch somebody else do it and it's not the way that I was shown, and I get very angry very quickly.
Well, so before we wrap up here, how do, if someone listening wanted to contact you guys to hire you or have you bid a job, how do they get a hold of you?
So there's two different ways, or three, I suppose. You could reach out by a text message or a phone call, 989-708-7915. You could reach us at our business page, Facebook page.
Hale Construction. You should probably tell them the name of it.
Yeah, you got that covered for me, though, babe.
She don't have the mic though.
Hale Construction on Facebook. Or there's email. haleconstruction2024@gmail. So
Sweet, man. Love seeing people win, you know, that I can relate to. Your guys' stories are different, but we all went from this point, now we're here.
yeah,
So-
went through the trenches and changed our lives around.
Yep.
Yep. Seeing you guys win and the kids, right? Especially that little girl you were talking about. I mean, little man hasn't, you know, he only knows the best version of y'all.
Yep.
Right? But they're two little badass kids too that do deserve that. And watching it growing, I mean, he could be zero interest in construction, right? And the impact of watching you guys, what you guys are creating and teaching in both of them is far louder than you guys probably even realize.
Mm-hmm.
It's a life skill too. Thank you for tuning in as usual. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and I'm grateful for you guys just always tuning in. You know who you are.